Hi everybody, Dr. Watson here. I just wanted to share with you a session that a class I'm teaching did with Dr. Steven Selfridge. Dr. Selfridge teaches in the Garnet Valley School District, but he has this wildly popular YouTube channel for band, mostly. He's got hundreds of thousands of subscribers and millions of viewers, and he creates these great videos for band students to watch all over the world. And we had him as a guest for our Lights Camera Learning course at University of the Arts this summer, and so we invited him to share for about an hour. And this is what he shared with us about using video in music education. Okay, well, Dr. Selfridge is here. And
Hi.
Hey, how you doing, Steve?
Great.
Thank you for joining us.
Yeah.
So, Steve, before we get going, could you just sort of, for people who don't know you, just introduce yourself, like what your position is, what your duties, what kind of work you do, and maybe just talk a little bit about how you got started in like the whole general topic of, distance learning or making videos for your kids, and then your YouTube channel. And if that's part of what you had prepared to present already, don't feel like you have to go out of order. If you want to jump right into your slides, that's also fine too.
Well, I'll just a little bit of that is in my slides. I don't have any slides, but I just have a few things to show you.
Okay.
So I'm Garnet Valley's high school band director. That's been I'm going into my fourth year doing that. But I was elementary band for, I don't know, 15 years or something. And that's where I got my start doing my YouTube stuff. So yeah, I'm mostly a band guy. I also teach a lot of jazz stuff, and I've been at Garnet Valley my entire career. So that's my sort of professional background.
Got it.
Go ahead, Scott.
Well, I was just say what got you, because not every band director or music teacher is early into using media and distance learning and all that kind of stuff to support their teaching. What sort of helped you sort of open the door to that, or saw the light that would be helpful?
Well, that leads right into my my little slides here.
Would you like me to make you the host, the moderator, so you can share your screen and things like that?
Oh, yeah, sure. Whatever works. I would like to screen share if that's possible.
Okay. It looks like I'm admitting you again. Do you have two different things to?
That's my other computer finally deciding to, do things.
Well,
so don't worry about that.
Okay. All right. So you are now the host.
Wow. I feel the power.
Huh?
Okay. Let me share my screen here.
I should have waiting room music.
All right. Oh, that's great.
Just let me know when you're ready.
That's awesome. Are you guys seeing this thing right here that says a flute on it?
All right.
All right, cool. So it all began in February 2011. That was about the time. So I had some students come into my my lesson group, and the fourth grade flute players, and they were begging me to learn to play this new song, Firework by Katy Perry, which I had never heard of at the time. And so I was like, okay. So we went and listened to it on YouTube. And I'm picking up the chorus is like a 5-note scale. And so I thought, okay, well, I'll teach it to you. And I transposed it to B flat. And then what was happening was all of the other students were hearing about this in this one lesson, and they started, like, every lesson group started spreading through the band, and they started coming in every lesson and asking for it. So I thought, okay, I'm just going to record a quick video. I had one of the students hold my phone and record me teaching it, so I could put it online and I wouldn't have to spend 10 minutes every lesson teaching it. And what happened from that is it was kind of a light bulb moment for me, that I was seeing other students coming into the lesson, having learned it from me, but I didn't actually teach it to them. I was like, well, that's cool. And they were excited. They were practicing more. They were getting good at their B flat scale. which maybe they weren't so motivated to practice on from their lesson book. And then on top of that cool stuff that was happening with my students, the videos started getting comments from kids in other schools, other parts of the country, even, other parts of the world. And I was like, whoa. So that was my light bulb moment, which a lot of other teachers have had since this whole movement, this whole, blended learning thing started, which is that like I could spend this time recording, I could spend a half hour recording a lesson, and then that's multiplied basically an infinite amount, because that little time of teaching and learning can be watched over and over again, by an unlimited number of people. I'm sure a lot of you guys have heard of the Khan Academy. That's about the time that the Khan Academy was getting started. I don't know, Scott, if you know, was Khan Academy like 08 or 09? I don't
Uh,
know. I was a couple. He was one of the earliest to the whole thing. Um, and I'm sure you guys are familiar with the Khan Academy.
yeah, our district used that, but a lot later. When we started like a blended learning initiative, probably 14 or something like that. So
Yeah, yeah, and so it was around this time that people started kind of, it became a growing movement, you might say, and that really inspired me too. Is what Sal Khan was doing. So um, what I've found, is the most useful part of making my videos is that my beginner students needed that. In most beginner programs, you see your kids once a week, around here at least. Uh, and, so the kid gets basically maybe 20 minutes of real instruction by the time they come to their lesson and they're set up, and then they pack up and all that. And so then they're left that entire week without the model, of the teacher. So providing that modeling for the students, and it's also helpful. Okay, so I have these videos, how to put the instrument together, things like that. Um, Another big thing, is I found is a lot of students, we've all heard it from our students that they really didn't successfully practice their song assignments because they don't have the internal models of music to be able to construct that oral image of what it's supposed to sound like. And so they have no goal in mind when they're practicing. They don't even know if they're playing the rhythms wrong. They just don't have a framework. So, we've all heard this from our students. So this is another big thing, I think. Again, it's modeling. They need to hear the song. They need to internalize the music in order to practice it. And so there's just a couple of examples of that. I also like it because, you can really meet different needs of your students. So you can have a beginner who's really struggling. You could have a beginner group of 4 different students who are in much different places in their development. One might be still struggling to hold the instrument, and another one might need to move on to like Ode to Joy or something. So you can assign, very specific, videos to address those needs. And then there's the motivation aspect, which is, obviously probably the main reason that my channel has attention from, I've gained subscribers is mostly because there's kids out there searching for how to play the latest pop song on any instrument. And so, students are more motivated. Obviously, we all know students are more motivated to practice what's exciting to them, and that you can see that in the view counts of my videos. These numbers actually aren't updated, but for example, like my hot cross buns video on alto sax probably has like 30,000 views, but the, Uptown Funk is probably like my most viewed video, hundreds of thousands of views. So, but kids are still practicing regardless. And the cool thing is you can reinforce, important instrumental concepts, music concepts with pop songs. I mean, like I said, with Firework, they're still learning that 5 note scale. With like Uptown Funk on clarinet, E A G the E to A. You can teach the kids that's the finger roll concept from the E to the A on clarinet. So you can teach real stuff with the pop songs, which is kind of fun.
Steve, do you
Yeah,
mind if we
jump
interject?
in. Yeah,
Yeah, okay, because I didn't know if you have a flow that, and I don't interrupt you, but first of
don't
all,
interrupt my flow, man.
okay, so what you just said, I think, is genius. The way you're using accessible music to kids to teach them and to motivate them and to engage them. But
Mm-hmm.
one of the questions I have that I was going to ask you later, but since we're on it, is like, how do you handle? Is there any because that's protected music, Uptown Funk. Is there any copyright issues, or is there because of maybe how brief of an excerpt you're doing, or have you had thought that through? I'm sure you have. So can you just sort
Yep.
of talk about that when you use some of these pop tunes?
Yeah. So I I've been doing pop tunes on YouTube for uh well probably eight since the beginning. I guess Firework was a pop tune, so 10 years. Um, so first of all, uh, I have not had what I'll get if I teach a pop tune. I will get YouTube will put on my video. Not a There's two things they do. There one's a copyright strike, which I've never gotten one of those. A copyright strike is if you're like uploading entire episodes of The Sopranos or something. Like if you're just uploading a movie to your channel. Um, what they'll do is they'll say BMI or Warner Brothers has detected that you're using one of their published songs in this video. This isn't You're not in trouble. We're just going to take like point whatever of the ad revenue and send it to BMI on this video.
Right.
Um, or they'll like if you can on YouTube, you can choose whether or not to put ads on your videos. I actually choose to not put ads on most of my videos. Um, but if you have copyrighted content, they will make you put an ad on it, and then they'll use that revenue for. So and it's interesting. I am actually very conscious of all of this, and I don't. For example, I won't do a video where I have like an entire transcription of like the latest pop song, and I have the whole thing like on sheet music. Download like the full song or wherever. But there are channels that do that, and I don't know how they do it.
Right. And there's a lot of copyright material that you see up on YouTube, and you wonder how do they get away with that. But I
Yeah,
was just wondering if that was something.
I try to be conscious of it. I try to do sort of fair use versions of it. Like I'll just teach the hook, like, because that's all really kids want to play anyway.
Right.
I'll just teach like the chorus.
So you'll use a small subset of the whole, which is part of fair use, and
Right.
if a copyright claim is made, you end up just yielding that income from your channel is monetized, right?
Yeah.
So you'll yield
So
that income to the copyright holder.
yeah. So I'll make 3 thousandths of a cent instead of 5 thousandths of a cent.
You're being too modest. With the number of subscribers you have, I can only imagine the great dinners you and your wife must go out to every month.
Yeah. Yeah. Mm.
Okay,
Big
well,
fan.
anyway, thank you for addressing that, and that's great stuff. But getting back to the original point, what genius to capture the idea of kids wanting to play songs, and then delivering it in a video. So that's great.
Yeah, and I consider my channel like I there's limited. We all have limited time to devote to things like this. I try to divide my time between you know the meat and potatoes of like real pedagogical stuff of like fingering charts and how to play songs out of the book, and then try to just sprinkle in some treats of the pop songs, basically.
Cool.
So that's what how I spend my time. Um, So the next couple of slides are just me like kind of talking about why I think, my advice to people who are thinking about making videos. So we could talk about that for a minute or whatever you feel.
Sure, and again, I encourage. I asked everybody to, if they hadn't already seen some of your videos, to take a look and then come with questions. So we know that there's plenty of questions too. But anything that you want to share that you
Sure.
think's worthy, go ahead.
Cool. I'll just talk about this stuff and then we can just chat. So, you know, I really encourage people to look into creating your own videos, and the reasons are have been on the screen here. I think you obviously you all of you know your students best. If they need help with a particular piece of music. Like I've done videos when I was still teaching elementary school, and a lot of teachers do this. Here's the snare drum part for this Brian Balmage's piece we're doing, because your snare drummers are having trouble with it. And you just play the part on a video and you upload it for them. And then maybe other kids out there on YouTube are searching how to play whatever beginner piece by Brian Balmage's, and that helps them. Um, you can use little videos to explain project requirements. A lot of teachers are doing this stuff. How to answering commonly asked questions of your students. Your students know you the best, and you can relate to your students the best. So you can deliver. You can give them just what they need. I found that in the number 3 there, I found that making videos has really made me a better teacher in a lot of ways, because you're forcing yourself to that what you're uploading is going to be up there for anyone in the world to dissect and analyze. So you also know that if it's a video, you only have one shot to explain it to whoever's watching. I mean, they can go back and listen to it again, but you don't have someone there asking clarifying questions. So you have to anticipate all the clarifying questions, and you have to explain it as clearly and efficiently as you can. And so it just makes me a better teacher in that way. And it also makes me make sure I've done my homework, so I'm not like saying incorrect things on the internet for another teacher to be like, that's wrong.
And that happens, by the way.
It happens. Oh, sure. Right. Scott, you've done a lot of
I have
stuff.
a doctorate in composition and tons of music theory background, and yet I still get people from all over the world challenging me for calling a chord a subdominant or something in a music theory video.
Absolutely. Makes you think. You're like, oh, okay. All right. I guess I have this right. And I have just a little guidance here, and I can share this stuff with you guys at some point. But just some advice, if you're going to make your own videos, plan it out like a lesson plan. My big thing when you're first starting to make videos is I really like to make it's really the best if you have a concept that's going to be like a 10-minute video. Definitely, I break it into smaller bits, and that depends on your audience too. But breaking it down into digestible bits, because my one soapbox on this is, I think whenever we're out there searching for what we want to, whatever we want to know how to do, like if you want to learn the best way to chop an onion, right? You don't want to go to an hour-long video it's an hour long of all the French techniques of cooking, and then find the spot in the video that's how to chop an onion. You want a video that's 60 seconds, how to chop an onion. So that's how I think about making videos for my channel. There you go. So I think that might be my last slide. Let's see. Yeah. And I also just say, don't get overwhelmed by the technology possibilities. Literally you could do just like a Zoom meeting, turn on your computer and record yourself talking. Use a whiteboard. You don't have to use technology, like some sort of app that's a cool whiteboard app. Use a literal whiteboard. You can talk with a slideshow like I'm doing. don't let the technology sort of be a barrier. Um, so anyway, I feel like I'm talking a lot. If you guys want to shoot me any questions or chat about anything, we can do that.
Yeah. So, Lisa, for instance, you have a question?
Hi. Hi. Thanks for
Hi.
coming and talking with us today.
Sure.
I just in a lot of your videos you have I'm actually sitting in front of a whiteboard right now, but in your videos, do you use an app of a whiteboard app? Because a lot of yours is plain white background kind of
Right.
thing. So what do you use for that?
I've gone through, it's interesting to look back at the evolution I've gone through on trying things on YouTube. You know, this is a really good point. Overall lesson I've learned is I've learned to not get too wrapped up in what my videos look like, wanting to look like, all right. So at that point in my YouTube career, I was really into like, you remember when everyone was making videos where it's just like a person in this white void and they're just like talking to the camera and like, seeming really smart, I was like, oh, that's what my videos should look like. So I bought like this huge roll of white butcher paper and bought all these cheapo lights from Amazon and like blasted out like my guest bedroom was like lights, and I'd be sweating recording the videos because I wanted to look like, but I don't know. It's my, you can do that if you want. That's like the infinite white background, I think they call it. But I've learned to worry a lot less about trendy things like that, how my videos look in terms of professional, whatever. The kids just want the content. They just want the content. And so I focus on a nice, clear video. I don't want like a fuzzy looking video, but, and just having good sound. I think having your voice recorded well is very helpful too. So that's how I got the white background. Yours works well too, though. See, it's just,
Yeah, my problem though is that I'm actually in a classroom and I don't have extra lighting, but you can see I have the lighting from above, all
I
this
see. Yeah.
fluorescent stuff. So I'm like, yeah, do I want this growing out of my head or should I just be back and like, ah,
Yeah, it looks like a halo.
The one thing about lighting, which you guys probably might already know this, the general principle is light, the light source pointing at you, then your camera, then you. So as we all know, if you've been with someone on Zoom and it's just like them in front of like their a window in their house, that's how you get like the witness protection program look.
Right.
Yeah.
So
Okay. Thank you.
thank you for that question.
Other questions? Stephanie.
Yeah, I was watching your video with hot cross buns on the bells, and I was really intrigued by your camera setup for that because there's no shadow. You can see the instrument really clearly, and you can see the mallets. What does your camera setup look like for when you demonstrate with instruments?
So that's another thing I've experimented with a lot over the years. Those particular videos, I had my tripod. I don't know if you can, I have a tripod back here. So I just had it like, that was a really awkward setup. And that was also in my white background videos. I think I just had it like really sort of awkwardly set up and pointed straight down. And I was like playing the bells like this. So it was kind of awkward, but I wanted to achieve the effect where the kids could see where it would look like their perspective. The shadow thing, I think it's because I had, like I said, 1,000 lights and I was just playing around with stuff.
Do you have any kind of a Google Doc that has like your equipment or your lights or your camera or what you're using when you create your videos?
No.
Okay.
I could make one.
Well, I don't want to create any work for you, but I'd be very interested in what lights you use.
I use, if you go on Amazon and you you search, photography, light kit, you get like, here, I'm using them right now for this. See that?
Oh, okay.
Those kind of things.
Nice.
Just that one's not on. It's like $80 for a kit or something. They're all made in China, they're not super quality, but you don't really need super high quality.
Oh, cool.
And my main camera for now is that one right there. That's a Panasonic Lumix. That's my priciest thing that I've invested in. That's a DSLR. It looks like a photography camera, but you put an SD card in it, and it takes HD. It can even take 4K video, which I don't usually do because it just takes up so much memory.
Mm-hmm. So you're using that to shoot your videos, and then and that sort of brings up a next question. And again, I'm probably stealing some of my students' questions, but after you get the footage or after you get the video, you're shooting the camera. What app do you use to produce your videos?
Honestly, I always tend to go back. I've tried a bunch of them. I keep going back to iMovie.
iMovie.
Yeah, I've tried. So I use iMovie as my default because speed is the name of the game, and I don't. Again, that goes back to my point of I try not to get bogged down in spending all your time with editing tricks and graphics and bells and whistles. iMovie, and in the event where I need a video where I need to do multiple, one limitation of iMovie is you can only do one picture in picture.
Right.
You can't do there's a lot. Every music teacher in the country learned this last spring. You can't do if you want to do these virtual ensembles, you need more powerful software than iMovie. So then I would go to Final Cut Pro or something for something like that.
So you use Final Cut Pro sometimes, but you're mostly iMovie.
Yeah, but I've dabbled. I've tried. What's the Adobe one? Premiere Pro.
Premiere. Yeah.
Boy, I don't know. What do you use, Scott?
Camtasia, and that's what we're using for this class.
Camtasia.
Great for screen recordings and tutorials, and that's where they're really known. It may be, I don't know if this is accurate or not, but as far as I've observed over the last, say, 4 or 5 years, it's the number one app for business and education tutorials. Not necessarily music, but just a lot of universities are using them. So I used to use ScreenFlow, which is a Mac only program years ago, and then I switched over to Camtasia. I also use iMovie from time to time, but just for little special effect kind of things.
Right.
I honestly thought you were going to tell me Final Cut Pro because your videos look great.
Yeah, thanks. I mean, it's not the where I get the cool graphics from, like the quality of the videos comes from the quality of the recording that you get from your camera and the quality of the sound. So I try to get a really crisp picture, and I always record my sound separately with like something going to, I'll be recording my voice simultaneously to GarageBand.
Right.
And then I'll drop that in over the video.
And we've talked about that class about either recording to Audacity or GarageBand simultaneously. In fact, Norm, you even did that, didn't you? So far already recorded audio at the same time as you were shooting your video, and then added those audio tracks into Camtasia to sync them up. So that's certainly so. What microphone did you just show us?
This is a Rode it's a Rode USB.
So it's a USB mic. You don't have to have an audio interface to get into GarageBand.
Right. Yeah. Just plug it straight into the computer. I've also experimented with different. I've tried clip-on mics. Some of my videos, you'll see me with like a little clip-on mic. So there's many different ways of doing it.
And the clip-on mics are also USB?
What I've done with that, I've kind of gone away from that, but I'll use a clip-on mic, and it goes so something like this. There's the mic, and it goes into a one of those little digital audio recorders.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
I have one handy.
And then you sync.
And then, yeah. So yeah, like I've said, I've tried a couple different setups. If I'm doing an interview type video, I've done a couple of interview type videos. I'll do that. I'll get a little Zoom digital recorder and give them a little microphone.
So the Rode mic, where would that be placed if you're talking to the camera about Uptown Funk or something?
So I would set it up. Grab it. Yeah. I have one over here. So I would have it like on something like this on the mic stand. So say you're watching me record a video from the side. I'd be looking at my camera there, and I would probably try to set my. I'd try to angle this so I'd want to lower it more. This particular stand doesn't go any lower. I'd want to get a stand that would lower it. I'd probably put it like. Let me use this. I'll use this one. I've spent a little bit too much money on microphones, but that's okay.
That's not a thing, is there? Too much money on microphones? That not...
It is a money pit wormhole type thing. I don't know what the analogy is, but okay. So say I'm talking to the camera. I'll try to get this microphone like here, so it's like getting my voice. But maybe if I want to look more slick and not have it in the picture, I'll try to get it just low enough.
Mm-hmm.
Or sometimes I just don't care. It's just here, as long as it's not blocking what the kids need to see. Like if I'm playing clarinet, I have to do something like this and have my clarinet here.
Right. Because in your videos, I think the sound is great. And just like we're zooming you now, when you walk to the back of the room, it sounds like you're in a tin can because you're far away from the mic. But we don't. I don't sense that with any of your videos. It sounds like the mic is close enough to you that it's getting a good, frequency response or whatever you want to call it. The timbre of your voice is good.
I always that's important to me. To my what I want to achieve. I spend time making sure my sound is good, and sometimes, I think I might get too perfectionist about it, and I think that's one thing I'm cautioning you guys. Not everything has to be perfect. The kids just want the content. They just want to learn. And it doesn't have to be professional quality. Professional quality teaching, just not professional quality production.
Yeah. So other questions? Amanda, who's in her car, apparently.
Yes. Sorry.
Okay, Amanda, your audio is really kind of funky. Is everybody else hearing that, or is it just me?
Yeah, she just must have hit a bad Wi-Fi spot.
Are you there?
Okay.
Okay, now I can hear you.
Is this better?
Yep.
Okay, you can hear me now. I can't hear you though. This is weird. Sorry. Well, okay. So my question, and then I'll put my headphones back in. My question is about internet safety and YouTube with students. I teach really young students, and I get nervous about them watching ads and sending them to YouTube for that reason. So I was curious what your thoughts were on that.
That's a great question.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's a tough one. So you have control over your own channel. Like you can disable ads on your channel. Kids will not see ads on your videos. You can control, you have three choices on comments. You can disable comments altogether. You can make it so that every time your channel gets a comment, it comes to you for approval. Or I have mine just open, but there's these auto filters that will detect naughty words, and it'll send me a message. This comment was held for review, and I go, and I never check those. So there's probably like 1,000 comments held for review that are sitting in my inbox. But that's the double-edged sword about the internet in general. and YouTube. It's such a great resource, but it's a powerful weapon that can be used for good or evil. There's always going to be people trying to pull stuff. But within your own channel, you can prevent ads. You don't have to have ads on your channel. So one thing you can do is what I've recommended is you can, if you want to kind of put an extra layer of protection, you can upload your videos that you make to YouTube. Well, you don't have to use YouTube. If you guys use Google Classroom, well, Google is YouTube now, but you could record your videos and make them unlisted. Do you guys know what unlisted means? All right, it means people can't search for them, but you can give links to whoever. And you can embed them in your Google Classroom or on your school website. And then kids aren't technically going directly to YouTube. They're just watching your videos embedded somewhere else. So they're not kind of out there exploring the wild world of YouTube. Yeah, there's a lot of questionable stuff on YouTube. They keep the really, really obviously horrible stuff out, but
Yep. Abby.
Well, I just wanted to add to that too. There's also SafeTube. So like you can control your own settings on your channel, but if you want to show someone else's channel, you can upload it to SafeTube, which helps that. Which protects the video. That's what our school district used this past spring. We had, like, if we were going to show a YouTube video, like of someone else's that we couldn't just show like unrestricted or anything. We had to put it on SafeTube.
I like that because I've heard from teachers, I've gotten emails that say, I want to use your videos with my students, but my district has blocked YouTube, which is, different districts deal with student safety in different ways.
Other questions? Casey.
Hi, I had a question. Sometimes when I make a really good video, I spend a lot of time on it, and then getting it to the actual students and them actually clicking on it and looking at it is sometimes a little bit more difficult. I didn't know if you had any suggestions of how you just get out your videos to your students and either like monitor or track, or just how do you get your students to actually click on it when you do send it to them?
I know I feel your pain. Because I did this whole project with our virtual alma mater for the spring, and I spent hours creating play along videos. I wasn't playing every instrument, but I put the music up on the screen and had Sibelius play back the part. And anyway, I don't look at the view counts of those videos because I just get depressed because I'm like, oh yeah, this video that I spent a half hour on was viewed 2 times. But anyway, I don't worry too much about it. I put stuff up there that I think is useful to my students, and it's there for them to use if they want to. Now, if it's like an assignment, you could assign them to watch it. Some of my videos tend to get views just because now I've been on there for so long and I've got a lot of subscribers. People just watch them. My advice would be to sometimes I'll show it to them. If I have them in class, I'll say, this is the video I want you to work on, and we'll actually watch some of it in class. Just emailing it to them. What level do you teach, Casey?
I teach high school. We use Google Classroom for a lot of our stuff, but I also know that some of our internet access has been really tough during virtual learning. So I didn't know if you just had ways that you just are creative in terms of getting it to them, because communication can sometimes be a difficult thing. I'll make videos and I'll only get a couple views. And it just, students will come back to me saying like, oh, I didn't get the link. I was like, well, I sent it to you, or I put it on the Google Classroom. Oh, I didn't see it. So I didn't know if you just had creative ways that you draw attention to certain things. Because for me, it's like, I want them to see it. It's just a matter of them actually going in and clicking on it. But I like what you said in terms of the video of showing it in class. I think kind of going through that is a great way to just have them see it so they know it's a resource, and having them know it might increase the way that, in terms of the amount of times they go back to it.
Yeah. Good point.
Anybody else?
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I mean, I don't know if I have a great answer other than sometimes, you know, I think just in general, kids need just multiple alerts of things you want them to do, you know?
Yeah, I would second that. I know that we all learned a lot about remote learning this spring, but you know, we use Schoology in my district. So, for instance, I would send a Schoology message, an email message, a parent email message. You know, like there's, and then you'd still only get 30% of the kids that responded to it. So, Lisa,
just in reference to that, for my school, we were still grading our students because we hit the bandwagon, you know, like just right away when everything went down. We were prepared for it, and so we got in there. So we continued to grade all of our students in all of our classes. And one of the ways that we were able to do that I was able to do that for music was just to create a short Google form that I dropped into my Google Classroom. So I gave them the assignment with the video and that kind of thing, and then to prove that they had, you know, come to my class, they had to fill in this Google form, which was like two or three questions max. You know, one of the questions was, "What's your name?" kind of thing. So, but I would always put a question that referred to the video, like a little further into the video. So I know that they had to at least spend, you know, 3 minutes watching this video to get the answer to the question, kind of thing. So I kind of tried to sort of make them do it by being able to having to answer these questions and stuff like that. But
yeah, it's like
it
what
worked for the most part,
right?
But there were still kids that totally, you could tell they were just guessing. But you know, what are you gonna do?
Yeah, you could get, you know, you can always take the humorous, you know, silly approach, like, you know, if you can name, you know, I randomly named 3 farm animals during the course of this video. The first person to email me gets I don't know, a sticker.
Well, part of my one of my lessons was to watch a short video with Cheryl Porter doing vocal exercises, and the whole thing was, it was a 20-second hand washing song, and one of the questions was, how long do you have to wash your hands? You know, and actually some of the kids got it wrong. So you know, it's, I don't know, you can't figure them all out.
Right.
Other questions for Steve? Jess.
Hi. I have 2 questions. First, when you said you were using iMovie, how do you get because I found that using iMovie, it was really hard to use annotations because they only have a set number of titles.
Oh.
You know? So I don't know if I was missing something. And also, in a lot of your videos, I'm just wondering if you plan where you stand, because you usually have your annotations or your fingering charts on the side, on if you're looking at the screen, it's on the left side. So do you stand a little off center, or how do you do that?
Yeah, I do plan that out. And sometimes it's trial and error. Like I'll realize I've recorded a half hour of me talking and it's not going to work because I'm not standing in the right place. And some of that, like I said, some of that is a little bit of maybe too much, me worrying too much about trying to get it exactly how I wanted it. But so yeah, so actually I'm literally right now working on a set of clarinet fingering videos where I'm playing every note on the clarinet and putting the fingering chart next to me. So I'm standing like here and I'm leaving this space open. And I was going to talk about this earlier and I got a little off track somehow. There is an app that I love. It's not free though. It's called Canva. Have you guys use this for teaching at all? Canva.
Yep.
And that's like my go-to. I've been using that for 2 or 3 years. What I do is I create. I'll use a canvas that is the size of the video screen, the picture, and that's how I create my thumbnails. If you guys have heard the term thumbnail, you can, put whatever title page you want on all your videos. So I use that for my thumbnails, and I use it for what I call my overlays. So I'm creating a bunch of fingering charts, dragging in the PNG of the fingering chart, layering in the name of the note, layering in the notation, and putting it all on this half of the screen, like my screen, like this half. And then I leave the rest of this transparent. And then I just download that, drag the PNG on top of my footage on iMovie, and it just overlays it. So I'll do that for if I'm saying, today we're talking about tempo, and tempo pops up. That's just, I have got, if you look at my earlier videos, like before 2016 or so, I don't know, I used a lot of iMovie titles, which are they're very limited in what you can do, which got me onto using Canva. I don't use iMovie titles anymore.
So I was going to ask you about that too. Is Canva also what you use to say create your like gobando.com logo, the branding?
Yeah, that particular logo I had a friend of a friend make for me like 8 years ago. And now my website it's no longer gobando.com, it's drselfridgemusic.com. But still, yeah, that's how I'll take those various logos and things I've collected over the years and pop them onto Canva to create whatever.
Right.
Like this. Oh, I can't share anymore. But if you look at any of my
here, I can make you. I'll make you the host again. Hold on.
I just wanted to show you. Let's see.
Okay, your host.
Cool. All right. Let me share this with you then. This screen I made for my live streams. Where'd it go? There we go. So that's Canva, and anytime I have stuff that I just want to put up on, I do live streams on Tuesdays and Thursdays now. And, I'll put my various screens that I want to put up on my, my computer on a slideshow, and just, bring them up onto the live stream from time to time. But that's Canva right there.
And Canva, there is a free version. I don't know what the limitations are because I haven't looked at it, but Adobe has a similar graphics. What is the one that Adobe has? Spark. So Adobe Spark, like what Steve just showed up on the screen, you could have done in Adobe Spark as well. My guess is you could do what you had up on the screen even in the free version of Canva.
I don't know what the limitations are because I've been a paying member for a while.
Yeah, I was actually looking at that a while ago, just for the exact, for coming up with graphics that I would use in various scenarios. I'm a cheapskate. I haven't actually paid for it, but and I found that Adobe Spark did a lot of the graphic stuff that I wanted, and I believe that's free.
And I should look into it because I'm pretty sure my district has. I might be able to get Adobe Spark for free, or the full suite. I think I can get access to the full suite for free, but I can't stand Premiere Pro, so I don't. I'm the thing for me now is just trying to minimize the amount of time I waste with technology, with getting bogged down and so that's why iMovie is it's quick. It does what I need it to do. That time is of the essence with a lot of this stuff.
No, I hear you. And even Camtasia is sort of it's a compromise app in that it does a little bit more animations and things than iMovie, and it does allow for like the virtual, if you wanted to do a virtual choir or whatever, you could, but it's still way less of a learning curve than say Final Cut Pro. it's kind of like if Finale was Final Cut Pro, and I don't know, Note Flight a couple years ago was iMovie. Camtasia is sort of in the middle there. It's like a compromise app. So that's why I wound up with that. But
yeah.
Somebody had mentioned something about engagement and having kids respond to videos. I was going to ask a sort of a little different twist on that question. Do you think about, other than the fact that you said you try to keep your videos brief, a couple minutes long, do you think about putting things in your videos, say halfway through to keep them, or early on announcing something that you're going to mention at the end of the video? Or do you think about engagement, like keeping them watching the whole way through, or is that you're just doing what you would normally do?
I actually don't get into that very much. There are some. Now, all right, so there's legitimate educational reasons to do that. Like, I want my students to be engaged in the lesson. And then there's the other side of the coin, which is like the YouTuber thing. Like, make sure you watch the end of the video because my stats get better.
Right.
That's in parentheses. Watch the end of the video for your chance to win whatever. I started at one point in my YouTubing career, I started to go down that path of like all the cliche YouTuber things that YouTubers do, and it's just that's not what my channel is. I don't care if I ever get to 1 million subscribers, or it's all about the content. Now, if for a teacher educational reason, if you want to use whatever cool little tricks you use even in your own teaching, I try to be as authentic as I can. What really got me over the hump in terms of getting comfortable with videos is when I flipped the switch in my brain to thinking like I have to be this personality on camera versus I'm just talking to a student. I'm just me talking to my students on camera. And so if you've got whatever cool teacher bag of tricks stuff you have, you can pull those out in your videos to keep your kids engaged.
All right, what are some of your other questions, class? Dan.
Could you talk a little bit about the use of like a script or an outline and how you balance those in your instructional video?
Yep. Again, early on, my early videos, which are kind of cringy to watch for me sometimes, I sort of have this overly scripted sound. First, you must pick up your clarinet and place it in your left hand. So I've gotten better at. It is hard. It's hard. I've recorded like an entire long sequence of tape, like a video, and then 40 minutes in, I realize exactly how I want to teach it finally, and then I just go back and do it again. But I will script things out, but I use a script more as a like notes, as if you're giving a speech from like note cards or something. I do recommend planning out the big points you want to hit.
Yeah, I would concur that it can save time in the long run if you think it's just like if you're going to, come up with a lesson plan. Sure, you can always change it in the moment, but it's just good to have a plan to begin with.
Yeah.
All right, other questions? Okay, Casey.
For your Uptown Funk video, the music that you played with when you were playing like the saxophone, is that music that you just got through like MIDI on GarageBand? Is that what you used, or what music are you using to play with it? So copyright as well as just lining that up with what you're playing on the saxophone.
So a lot of those videos, the accompaniment tracks I create on GarageBand, just track by track. Like I'll put a drum track in, I'll put a, I've spent probably way too much time analyzing Taylor Swift mixes and like figuring out exactly what the guitar is doing. And that was a bit of a, yeah. So a lot of that I did create on just from scratch on GarageBand. Sometimes on some of my covers, I actually will use you can find like MIDI tracks online that people have posted. I don't do a whole lot of that anymore, but GarageBand.
Do you then give those to your students as well to then play along with it? Is that like a resource that you?
Yeah, I'll post it like on my website, like a play along track.
Okay.
Can you tell us about your? Jessica, go ahead. What's your question?
I was just was going to talk about the tracks because they sound so professional. I thought maybe you were using Essential Elements tracks. I mean, not of the pop songs, but of just even Hot Cross Buns.
GarageBand.
So you just created those on GarageBand.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
It's like for my beginner band tunes like Hot Cross Buns. That's another project I'm currently trying to continue to work on to get those posted. It's just a drum track. I'll do a bass line, boom, boom, boom. I'll just play piano like I'm accompanying them. And that's basically, usually it's just 3 tracks, piano, bass, and drums. And then I'll use a woodblock track to be my count in.
Yeah, GarageBand's a great app.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, some would say GarageBand does it all. That's the other class I'm teaching. Okay.
Oh, okay. Good one.
I was going to ask you to talk a little bit about your live stream, the setup. When you go live, are there any graphics that have to be prepared ahead of time? Or is it all just you on the camera, or are there other elements graphically or video-wise?
Well, another topic of, things I spent way too much money on. But when I started getting into live streaming, I was obsessed with like making a really high quality live stream. So you can achieve a live stream with much less technology than I do probably, and much more, I'm sure. There's people that are doing like the really crazy live streams that's a lot of money in. But so basically I have my Lumix that I'm pointing to my screen like you can see it. That the Lumix camera.
Okay.
And that goes to I have this switcher thing. You guys see that with the lights?
Yeah.
So that's like I can switch from, this is like my main camera, and I can switch it over to my laptop because I have my laptop HDMI plugged in, and I can go to another. You can do 4 camera sources, and then that all goes to this thing. Whoop. You can't see it. It's back there somewhere. There's this little box thing I bought called an encoder. That it takes a lot of it takes a lot of processing power to send an HD camera signal live. It's called encoding. So instead of spending like thousands of dollars on a new computer to do that, you can buy like a little external device for like a couple $100.
And so that's like reducing the bandwidth of the video?
I guess. I don't know exactly what it's doing. It's taking everything and making it digestible over the internet to YouTube.
The cameras that are sent to that switcher that you can switch between 4 cameras, what kind of input does the switcher accept? Is that Lightning or is it USB?
So it's called the 8. I'll put it in the chat. It's called an ATEM Mini. From just Googling and looking at people doing live streaming, I learned about it. It's by Black Magic Design, which is this company that does a lot of. So first of all, I don't imagine anyone here or most sane people would want to get involved in buying this equipment and doing this. It's my thing now. So I do it. I'm doing it. But this is like, you could do a live stream with your phone, as we all know. But this is what I do if you're curious. But anyway, this thing takes HDMI.
HDMI.
Yeah. And what the experts say is really cool about it is you don't have to worry about converting stuff I don't even know about, like frame rates and aspect ratios. It just automatically does it and makes everything look good.
So is that doing it in real time as you're speaking and talking on YouTube, that the camera inputs are going into that switcher and then going to your that box, that encoding box?
Yep. And but YouTube, it's about a 15-second delay. So I'll have kids watching my live stream, and they'll be asking me questions in the chat, and we're interacting. But it's about a 15-second delay. So I just realized if I ask a question like, "Hey, does anyone know what is this dot next to a note mean? What does that mean? What do we do with that?" I just know I have to wait 15 seconds before kids even hear what I asked.
Right.
It's a delay.
So after the encoding box, is there a cable that comes out of there that goes back into your computer or into a computer?
No, the encoder goes straight to my my internet router.
Ah. Sometime offline or something, we're going to have to talk about this. Not that I'm actually on the verge of doing a live stream, but I'm just so curious when I see your live streams. I can just sense there's a lot more to it than a camera just pointing at you. And
yeah, because I have now I know what producers are for. I'm just like, there's a lot of buttons to push.
Well, you mentioned that a lot of people probably use even more equipment. There's probably also people who have staff who are on the other side of the camera doing.
Absolutely. If you see a really slick live stream, there's a lot going on.
Yeah.
I see Dan put in the chat about Edpuzzle.
Right.
Dan, I started using Edpuzzle with Schoology with everything this past semester. It was cool. Where you can embed questions in a YouTube video, Scott.
Yep. Well, thank you, Steve. Is there anything else you wanted to say before we?
This is the last thing I say.
Yeah.
Which is appropriate for our topic. What we talked about in our department is really the best way to be prepared for all of this is really I just plan as if you're going to be teaching virtually, and then you can adapt to actually teaching in person. But if you continue to develop your online plan, that's always there as a baseline. Right. And teaching in person, if we can safely, is just a bonus at that point.
Amen. Hey, thanks a lot, Steve. Everybody give Steve a hand. I'm going to use a reaction in Zoom. There we go.
Wow. Yes.
Anyway, thank you so much. Hey,
are they hands washing or are they clapping?
I don't know. All right. Let me give you one that. There we go.
Oh, good.
Thanks a lot, everybody. Thanks a lot, Steve. Hopefully, our paths cross face to face sooner rather than later.
Absolutely. Thank everyone. I appreciate you listening to me. It was fun.
Yeah, our pleasure. All right. So long, everybody.